Good evening and welcome to news. Welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Coming up tonight, tributes pour in for former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, a trailblazing advocate for women's empowerment and political reform, who passed today at 76 years, marking an end of an era. We'll later bring you also story about the new Patriotic Party flagbearer race, which is heating up as 63 of the 87 minority MPs in Parliament endorse Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ahead of the party's presidential primaries later next year. And President Mahama has sworn in 37 new High Court judges who will update you on the individuals taking up this prestigious position. We are live around the world on 3news.com. Let's bring you the news summaries with Christabel.
We start off on a very sad note because Ghana's former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, has reportedly passed away. She is said to have died on Thursday, October 23, 2025, at the Ridge Hospital in Accra. She was 76 years old. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was a wife of the late former President Jerry John Rawlings while he served as President of Ghana. Now, details surrounding her death are yet to be disclosed, as the family is yet to issue an official statement. President John Dramani Mahama has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to building a modern, safe and inclusive transport and logistics system to drive Ghana's economic transformation and regional integration. Speaking at the opening of the inaugural Ghana Transport and Logistics Fair 2025 in Accra, President Mahama said the government was investing heavily in rail, road, maritime and aviation infrastructure to ensure seamless movement of people and goods across the country and the West African sub-region. Residents of Edumasa in the Joabeng municipality of the Ashanti region are living in fear following an armed robbery attack on gold buyers in the area. The incident, which occurred on Wednesday, October 22, 2025, left 6 residents with gunshot injuries. According to Honorable Ejipong Andrews, who is the assembly member for the area, the armed robbers who were on a motorbike made away with gold, a gold machine and money. He disclosed that the robbers fired their guns indiscriminately in the community, causing residents to flee for their lives. Now, in a daring chase, however, a courageous taxi driver chanced upon the robbers and hit them with his car. We have all of this on our website, 3news.com. Do well to visit there. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's delve into the details. And like Christabel indicated, it's a sad day here in Ghana, especially those who are following the news. It has to do with the passage of Ghana's former First Lady and a trailblazing politician, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. She passed away at the age of 76 earlier today. She died, which is the 23rd of October 2025 at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Many of you know it as the Ridge Hospital in Accra. The wife of late former President Jerry John Rawlings, Nana Konadu was Ghana's longest-serving First Lady, holding the position from 1979 to 2001 across both military and civilian administrations. For those of you who may not know a bit, let's take you down memory lane and give you an idea of what kind of background she had, where she schooled, what she did while in power, and why she is instrumental in Ghana's democratic story. She was born in Cape Coast on the 17th of November 1948. And Nana Konadu was educated at the Ghana International School and later went to the prestigious Achimota School, where she met her future husband, former President Jerry John Rawlings. She later pursued art and textiles at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, and furthered her studies in interior design and development management, both in Ghana and abroad. A lifelong advocate for women's empowerment, she founded the 31st December Women's Movement in 1982, a key organization that advanced the social and economic rights of women nationwide. In 2011, she broke away from the then National Democratic Party, the party that her husband founded, and formed her own party, which is the National Democratic Party. which later became, and clearly on the back of that, she deciding to break away from the NDC meant that she became flag bearer of the National Democratic Party and was actually the first female presidential candidate in Ghana, and that was in the 2016 elections. She later wrote an autobiography which was released in 2018 titled It Takes a Woman, and captured her political journey, advocacy, and service to national development. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings leaves behind a powerful legacy, a fearless advocate for equality, and a symbol of resilience in Ghana's political and social history. Meanwhile, tributes have been pouring in from across the political spectrum, describing her as a trailblazer, a reformer, and a champion of women's leadership. Madam Joyce Aye, a former schoolmate, described her as a woman of strong conviction who inspired and empowered generations of Ghanaian women. Let's listen to Madam Joyce Aye.
I'm really saddened. Yeah. A woman of substance, a woman of courage. Someone who has, was very passionate about empowering women, making sure that women had not only a voice, but women also were able to play their rightful role at levels of society, at all levels, starting from the farm level to the woman selling on the street, right up to people in politics, women in politics. And I like the legacy she has left, It's a good thing that we remember her, among other things, as somebody who really stood for the empowerment of women. And when she had the opportunity, she had opportunity and she used the opportunity well. When her husband was in office, both in the PNDC and then when we transitioned into a democratic dispensation, she worked relentlessly with the president, 31st Women's 24th years, I'm going old. But and then, she herself bravely put herself out as a possible head of state. Yeah. So she put her very self and her energies where her mouth was. She wasn't only interested in empowering others, but she felt that she could set the example. You don't always get that kind of courage, to stick to the things that you believe in. But I think that is what she stood for. If she believed in something, she did not mind going all the way.
And that's the voice of Reverend Miss Joyce Aye sharing her thoughts on former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. They actually were schoolmates. She also attended Achimota School, so that was where their friendship began. And all through the years, they've been very good friends. So she expressed sadness and the fact that she definitely was going to sorely miss the former First Lady. Now, founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, also praised her enduring influence, saying her contributions helped shape the very concept of women's empowerment in Ghana.
I think it's very important for her to leave the scene at this age. I have known Nana Konadu since 1974. I remember myself and my former wife were both mates at Achimota School and at the university as well. We had chat, we discussed issues until I went to detention in 1977. And I was in detention until Akufo removed Champon. And I then ended up with June 4th. And after June 4th, I've been making it occasional. And I think the one key thing that she did for this nation is feminine affirmative, which she played a very key role in it. I must say, I remember tour with some other ladies then to China, where that particular meeting took place. She has been a very influential person when her husband was in power, especially in the 80s, for quite a long period. At the moment, I think all I can say is I wish her a very peaceful rest in the arms of the Lord. But you see, one thing is that what happened in 1979, June 4th, was not a joke. If you have been around or you've been a soldier before, what happened to officers, very senior officers, who were slaughtered, and a lot that took place. Now, you ask yourself a simple question: what role did she play? Well, I know definitely some decisions might come to her notice, but there was nothing she could have done at that time. Well, after a while, the husband himself realized that when things are going really dangerous, so he has to put a stop to the killings. But one thing I will say, and say it again, the political class of this country should be very, very careful. I've been saying it all the time, because it appears as if the rank and file in the country are getting fed up with the political class. So Nana Konadu said should warn the political class that they should stop destroying this nation. They should stop stealing. People are stealing. Make us steal. The government now in power must make sure that all those who have been caught stealing the country's money, their properties are confiscated, and that is an easy thing to do. It can be traced very easily.
Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo sharing a thought on how he remembers the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings and referenced the fact that the first time he met her was in 1974, and since then followed her progress through being a First Lady, etc., up until today, where news broke that she had taken her final breath. Another key individual who worked very close with the Rawlings family is former communications minister and diplomat Dr. Ekos Gabra. Now he's added his voice to the many tributes that are pouring in, and he talked about her and said her greatness has not been fully appreciated because of the political transitions that followed the Rawlings era. Let's listen to Dr. Ekos Gabra.
I think if the news is true, because until the family confirms it in a manner that some of us will accept it, we still take this to be unconfirmed, even though I believe the presidency has come out with a statement. It's an unexpected development, but all of us in our various families and lives have similar incidents where a close friend, a close relative.
Key member of the NDC, are you able to most reflect on?
There's a lot to reflect on, a lot to be said at the right time. But her greatness has not been fully appreciated, partly because of the circumstances in which NDC lost power and the unfortunate developments that took place after we lost power with her 31st December Women's Movement being investigated in a very unfriendly manner by the Kufuor government at the time. The fact that she had to go to court for many years, and even her late former husband, President Rawlings, also had to.
So that is Dr. Ekos Gabra, former minister under the Rawlings administration,
be in court, and sometimes standing for many hours. It was a low moment in Ghana's democratic development. But NDC has won power and lost power, and we've seen at different times when the former President Rawlings was also alive. He tried to restrain himself with many of the negative things that are going on in our country, which were going on at the time he was alive. And I believe the former First Lady also was very mindful of those things. But as I said, the time will come for us to speak at length. So,
Dr. Ecospio Gabra, a very close friend of the Rawlingses, and was a former communications minister and also Ghana's ambassador to the U.S. at some point in time, and was talking about how he would also remember, or how he remembers, the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. We will bring you the voices of some members of parliament, because following the news break about her demise, Parliament quickly adjourned sitting because of how sad the situation was. So quickly, the Speaker at the time just asked that the House suspend for some time while they all try and take in the news of her passing. Following that, some members have also been speaking about how they will be remembering the former First Lady, and we'll try and bring you their thoughts and the specific issues they've been talking about regarding how they will be remembering her. But ahead of that, the presidency released a statement to formally announce to the country that they do know or have been informed about the passing of the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And I'm going to read verbatim what the statement says. It is signed by Felix Kwakye Ofosu, the Member of Parliament and also spokesperson to the President and Communications, the Minister in charge of Government Communication. Now, it says, passing of Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Government announces with deep regret and profound sorrow the untimely passing of former First Lady and founder of the 31st December Women's Movement, Her Excellency Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Mrs. Rawlings passed this morning after a short illness. Government extends its deepest condolence to her immediate family. Very short statement from the Office of the President, and it just tells you how the entire nation has been taken by surprise, or there is a certain grip of mourning around the country following this news. Let's go to the phone lines now. Dr. Kwesi Amachi is a senior lecturer at the Department of History and Political Science at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He's joined us for a quick chat about this news. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, and thanks for having me.
What would your immediate thoughts be about Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings? I mean, as a student of politics, I'm sure that you must have followed very closely how Ghana's politics or political landscape shaped up, and what role would you say she played in that formation of our politics?
Once again, thanks for the opportunity. Actually, it came to me as a shock, and it's something you have difficulty dealing with. That is death. It's something you have difficulty dealing with, and especially when it's got to do with some such people, individuals who have played significant role in the nation's development. Nana Konadu has been a rock, behind former President J. Rawlings, who I really credit with the Fourth Republic, the building of the Ghanaian state in a way that has never happened. It's not for nothing that we speak of the Fourth Republic. There have been 3 previous efforts to get Ghana to work. It didn't work. And the only one that is working, the Fourth Republic, had to be put in place through human efforts. And Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings is one of the people who, like I said earlier on, has been a pillar behind the husband, giving him support, their tribulations, and eventually, when they were able to, come into power and establish the stability on the basis of which the Fourth Republic has been built. And that stability is with us. And so her demise comes, as a shock. I mean, you just don't know what to say. But we are also, full of sorrow. We didn't hear of her illness, and somehow a similar thing, happened in the case of her beloved husband, His Excellency J. John Rawlings. We didn't hear of her illness. We only heard of her death. And death has been with man, but any time it occurs, we simply have difficulty coming to terms with it. So this would be my, if you like,
right.
The few words I have, I'm lost for words. Actually, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. I can imagine, and condolences to all of us because, of course, like I indicated, you probably must have seen them closer or followed them much closer because of the field you are in, the area you needed to study them to understand how they impacted general politics as a country. But can you talk to us about, maybe if you can help us by giving us 2 or 3 key moments in history where you thought that had it not been for her, our current situation would have been different, or the role she played was quite significant that it stands up for you anytime you hear the name Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
I attached her closely, to her husband, President Rawlings, for the fact that Ghana is working now. It does not just happen. Look around us. Only yesterday we heard that some Ivorians were fleeing because they anticipate something terrible to happen in their impending elections. Ghana is quite different, and of course, it's a feed that has been talked by several people. They were in the PNDC, the NDC, together with several other people. But then they came out as the leaders. And she played a very significant role, providing the support of a mother, a wife, and also her leadership qualities, her efforts, in mobilizing Ghanaian women, empowering them. And today we have several of them coming out to take various positions in society. And so she played, a very significant role.
Right.
The fact that the NDC, a new political tradition, is thriving. It has not been easy for Ghana, for new political parties, and then survive the founders here in this country. So all these are, if you like, feathers in their,
in their cap,
in their heart.
Right, Doc. Thank you so much. And like you indicated, many are still lost for words and are trying to put their thoughts together. So we'll definitely be engaging you further, hopefully in the coming days. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to Dr. Kwesi Amache, who is Senior Lecturer at the Department of History and Political Science, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. So we are streaming on Facebook. We are also streaming on YouTube. And we actually are currently playing a video of the time the Rawlings family moved from their home here at Ridge to go to the office of the president to formally inform the government and the president about the passing of their mother and a founding member of the National Democratic Congress, the party which is currently in power. Although she broke away from the NDC in 2012, thereabout, to form her own party, the history of the NDC can never be written without the influence and the role of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. So she is, no matter how you put it, she is a true member of the National Democratic Congress. At least up until 2012, the history that the party had, she played a very significant role in there. So the party is also mourning. We are yet to hear from them. but then government has spoken and released a statement. The family itself is also yet to speak on the subject matter. We have seen, so if you log on to our Facebook page, 3FM 92.7, and on YouTube, you would get to see after the announcement was made to the president, you could tell Dr. Zaneto Rawlings and her brother Kimathi Rawlings, who led the family, and other members of the Rawlings family, to go and formally tell the president that their mother had passed. So, I mean, clearly, again, from the position she played in the country, we are hoping to hear what exactly the president will say regarding that. But we are picking up hints that it is likely she would be giving a befitting state burial. So the state might have a role to play in her final journey, or when she's being laid to rest. Well, before we go on to our next story, though, we just want to bring you bits and pieces of what the members of parliament have been saying about the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Let's listen to some of the MPs, which her death actually forced the suspension or adjournment of parliament. So it makes sense to at least hear what the MPs had to say about her.
With me here are some members of the team.
All right, I will try and bring you that insert later. Right, you're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is a Hot Edition live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Do let your messages come in on our Facebook stream and our YouTube stream. We'll definitely be sharing some of your messages to the rest of the world. In the meantime, though, we are going to other stories, and we also have big news coming in where, for instance, some members of parliament who are in the minority side have thrown their weight fully behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is seeking to be the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party. So 63 out of the 87 new Patriotic members of parliament have declared their support for former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the party's upcoming presidential primaries. The announcement was made at a press conference addressed by the Member of Parliament for Mampong, Kweku Amprechum Sapong, who described Dr. Bawumia as the most qualified, visionary and unifying figure to lead the NPP into the next general elections. He also outlined his achievements and contributions to the NPP as a party.
Some members of the team of MPs that are supporting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It's not everybody who is here. Others are engaged in committee meetings. Others have traveled. But the leadership of Bawumia's team in all the regions are here with me. In every generation, the new Patriotic Party has risen on the shoulders of visionaries such as Dankwa Buzia and Dombo, men who believed in freedom, democracy, rule of law, and development through enterprise. Today, that proud tradition finds new strength and purpose in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He represents the enduring spirit of our party. He's visionary, resilient, diligent, and pragmatic. He represents, from his days as a brilliant economist at the Bank of Ghana to his service as vice president under Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia has proven that leadership is not about words, but work. Not about entitlement, but excellence and delivery. He has brought clarity to governance, inspired innovation, built systems that work through Ghana's digital transformation, financial inclusion, and modernization of public service delivery. Dr. Bawumia is a leader who respects our history, yet reimagines our future. He has walked with the new Patriotic Party through every season of victory and challenge, serving faithfully, defending our record, and carrying our message with conviction and grace. He has been tested, trusted, and proven. Today, over 60 members of parliament, in fact, it's 63 precisely, out of the 87 minority members in parliament, stand together in unity and conviction to make this clarion call. We declare our total and unwavering support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the next flag bearer of our great party. We make this declaration not out of sentiment, but from deep conviction. We have seen his work, his discipline, his resilience, and his readiness to serve. We believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia embodies the next chapter of the MPP's vision, a future built on competence, innovation, unity, and hope. We affirm that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not just the candidate who can unite our party. He is the leader who can win the confidence of Ghanaian people and secure victory for the MPP in 2028 and beyond.
All right, so that you heard the voice of Kweku Amprechum Sapong, who himself is a member of parliament and says that he's leading some 63 members of the New Patriotic Party who are MPs to throw their weight fully behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Mind you, we are about 5 or so months to the end of probably less than 5 actually to the end of the year, and then in the early part of January, the MPP will be going to the polls to elect their flag bearer. So what does all of these mean in the scheme of things? Let's engage Dr. Asiedu-Dartey, who himself has also been following very closely developments of politics in the country. He's a political analyst and a lecturer as well. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Mr. Dartey.
How significant is this endorsement in the general scheme of things as the NPP prepares for its presidential primary?
Well, let me say good evening once again to your good health and to your current listeners. The point is that politics at this period is all about the numbers and the optics. Now, you need to create some kind of optics that will reflect significantly in the minds of those who are kingmakers. Most often than not, we see political parties organize mammoth rallies. Now, these mammoth rallies are supposed to intimidate their opponents, and others who have not decided will say that, look, it appears that if I go and vote for this particular quarter, I'm just wasting my vote. Therefore, let me join this particular fray. And so things of that nature are for the optics and to send some kind of intimidating message to the other side.
And, well, I'm looking at the fact that these members, 63 of them, are a significant chunk of the MPs left in Parliament on the minority side. Out of the 87, this is 63. So the number that is, and we are also being told that there are 2 extras who do not want their names to be mentioned, but have also told their colleagues that they support Dr. Bawumia. Does that mean that coming out publicly to say you support someone, it means that you are going to vote for him? Do you get that inkling, or it probably, like you're saying, it's just the optics, and that at the back of it, people have the minds of their own and might tilt wherever they want?
It is unfortunate that people who occupy positions such as MPs will declare for this or that. You see, these presidential hopefuls will have to come to your constituency to meet delegates and campaign for vote. In actual fact, as an MP, there's supposed to be an arbiter so that you will introduce the presidential hopeful, and then the person will speak to them, encourage, convince. But here is the case: you have this significant number. I don't know. I've not seen any video that show that 63 had converged to deliver that particular press conference. I don't know if that is the case, because I was then driving. I had to read the pieces. So if you have MPs aligning, like, for example, the constituency chairpersons along the line aligning, when in actual fact you are all supposed to serve the party, not to serve a particular individual. And I think that both parties have been guilty of this. You see, it is just because people want to satisfy their own selfish interest. That's the more reason why they do that. But when you speak about that, they will say, oh, it is their political right to do ABC, and which they have done. But when you do this, sometimes it doesn't really augur well for future, unity. When that MP was speaking, he touted so many, qualities of Dr. Bawumia, and said that he is the only person that can unite the party. So the question that came to mind is, was the party divided before he took over as the leader of the party? Now, if the party was not divided, how come it got divided when he led for the first time? Sometimes we throw about certain words just to praise, do praise singing, without necessarily, undertaking a disintegration, so to speak, of the very words that we used and how they apply, practically to the person that we are using these words for. Is the party united now, or it is disintegrated? The party is not united. The party is suffering, is hemorrhaging from Mr. Alan Chamantin leaving, forming the UP now. And of course, if you look at the antagonism that has taken place between the Kennedy camp, the Bawumia camp, the Brian camp, the Bawumia camp, then it should tell you that there is that high acrimony. The attrition rate is very high within the party. And you are suggesting that Dr. Bawumia is the source of unity. Well, I think that his track record has not proven so. His track record has not proven so, because let's just say that Mr. Akufo-Addo leaves the party to your care as the leader, and you saw your performance. Yes, they are saying that a multiplicity of factors contributed to that. Yes, we may have to agree with that particular position. But the point is that if you have that high attrition rate between other camps against Dr. Bawumia, then I don't think that that person is a symbol of unity now or in the near future. He will have a lot of work to do to be able to create that semblance of unity that they are crediting him as a quality of his leadership style. So coming back to the point, when you have MPs who are supposed to be arbiters, who are supposed to play neutral roles so that they'll be able to accept, to welcome all these flag bearers into their constituency so that they can campaign, wholeheartedly. If you have a line, then it means that how does that person come to your constituency without, having in mind that you are against him?
Right.
On the other side, the cynical question that you asked as to whether when they come out like that, they will vote for him, like what they say, fear delegate, isn't it? Well, I think that at this level, when you have MPs with that sheer number, it's quite intimidating, and they are not the type of delegate that you say they need no curfew, for which reason they will want to align. I think that they have a bigger picture than ordinary delegates. Okay. And so I think that if they have voiced their support for him, they really mean it. And finally, Martin, I think that if you have seen these two polls that have come out, Sanity Africa, that put Canada Japan ahead of Dr. Bawumia, and then the latest one that is coming from one Dr. Evans or so, the professionals and academic or something.
Yes.
That also puts Mr. Kennedy ahead. So I think that this is supposed to be a reaction. This is a reactionary decision on the part of the Bawumia support to let everybody believe that that particular poll is not trustworthy.
Well, we can only watch and wait and see how all this plays out. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Dr. Santiago. and he is a political analyst and lecturer as well, helping us put into perspective what it means for 63 out of 87 NPP MPs to throw their support behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We'll see and update you in subsequent bulletins, and as we all wait, it's just 3 months away. We'll see as the campaign heats up. A few days ago, 2 days ago, I should say, the party flag bearers, the flag bearer aspirants, I should say, all went to see Nana Konadu, the former president, and he encouraged them to ensure that they campaign with a specific message, and it should be devoid of insults and acrimony. And as the days wear on, we are hearing that people are shifting camps, movements are happening here and there. What does all of this mean as delegates prepare to choose a flag bearer to go into the 2028 elections? Your comments are also welcome. You definitely do have a thought. Share it with us on our comment section on Facebook and on Twitter, and also on our YouTube stream. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We're going on to some more stories, this time around to the court, because drama unfolded at the Accra High Court after aggrieved lawyers for the former National Signal Bureau's director, led by Samuel Atachia, staged a walkout of the court premises. Their reason? The trial judge refused to grant their plea for adjournment. The court had been scheduled to hear the testimony of the prosecution's second witness. On Thursday, the 23rd of October, lead counsel Samuel Atachia notified the court of filing an application of the Supreme Court to prohibit Justice Eugene Nyadu-Nyantey from further hearing the case, citing bias. He prayed for an adjournment of the case pending the determination of the matter at the Apex Court. But prosecution, led by Principal State Attorney Asiedu-Dartey urged that the court dismiss the application. We'll tell you or bring you the thought and position of Atachia, who is lead counsel for the man in question, or the director of the former director of the National Signals Bureau. Before that, let's speak to our court correspondent, Lord Eduasari, who's joined us on phone. Lord, thank you for your time. So tell us exactly why the Atachia-led legal team thought that their position was not being agreed with by the judge. For that reason, they walked out. Why?
Right, Martin. So, Samuel Atachia, today, even before the business of the day could continue, notified the court that there had been new developments in that they had filed an application for prohibition at the Supreme Court. Now, this application is basically meant to prohibit the presiding judge who has been hearing the matter, Justice Eugene Nyadu-Nyantey, from continuing to hear the case. Now, their reason was that he has been biased towards them since the hearing of the case. Now, after notifying the court about this application, he prayed for, he cited some authorities and indicated that because of the kind of application that he had filed at the Supreme Court, it meant that automatically there should be a stay of proceedings and then an adjournment. But then the Principal State Attorney, or the prosecution led by Principal State Attorney Asiedu-Dartey, rebutted and opposed this submission. He indicated that the mere fact that an application of this matter had been filed at the Supreme Court does not warrant an automatic adjournment. Now, she indicated that this trial particularly is a criminal trial, and the authorities that lawyer Atachia had cited had to do with another matter altogether, and so they can't be lumped together for this. But Atachia still maintained on that stance. Now, in the end, the presiding judge sided with the prosecution and held that the fact that an application like this is pending at the Supreme Court, it didn't warrant an adjournment in the matter. And so he dismissed that adjournment and then proceeded to call the prosecution's second witness, who is the Director of Finance at the National Signals Bureau, who was supposed to give her evidence in chief. Now, Martin, a bit of background to this. At the last adjourned date, the Director of Finance at the National Signals Bureau submitted some receipts during her evidence in chief. Now, these receipts had to do with the expenditure that Konadu Agyeman, during his tenure as the National Signals Bureau Director, expended, really. So, Assange objected to that list of transactions or receipts which was going to be tendered, in indicating that they were prejudicial. The fact that it has to do with the National Signals Bureau, it meant that it would affect the security of the country, for which reason he wanted those documents not to be turned into as evidence. And then the prosecution, then led by the Deputy Attorney General, who, by the way, today in court was absent, indicated that it is not in the place of a private citizen to indicate which documentation in court is prejudicial or will affect the security of the nation. That mandate or power lies in the bosom of the executive and, by extension, the government. And then the judge agreed with that. And so that objection was overruled. And then the matter continued. This is one of such instances that Lawyer Sachin has been relying on, indicating that since the case began, there's a term that he likes to use. He says the judge is on an ambulance mode. He just wants the case to be expedited and moved on at the detriment of his clients without them necessarily making the case. And so he went to the Supreme Court to file an application to prohibit the justice or the judge to continue to hear this matter. He spoke to us after this. He was still not pleased about the entire thing. But Martin, even after this was done, because he walked out of the court premises, the accused persons, Konadu Agyeman and his spouse, Angela J. Boateng, they were still in court. And because the matter had been dismissed and then the hearing was continuing, meaning that the second accused was going to continue with the testimony, the judge ordered the accused persons, Konadu Agyeman, to defend him, to call his lawyer back, or meant that you stand on his own as his own lawyer. Now, at that point, the court went on a brief recess, and when they came back, Konadu Agyeman indicated that indeed he hadn't been able to establish contact with his lawyer, and pleaded with the court that he wouldn't be able to, as it were, defend himself or represent himself, and so prayed for leniency and an adjournment, to which the court obliged and the justice or the judge gave the adjournment. And so the case has been adjourned to October 30, Martin, for the continuation of this matter.
Right, Lord. Thank you for that update. Let's now listen to Atachia, who is lawyer for the former Signals Bureau Director, Konadu Agyeman.
In the court since 9 o'clock, as scheduled by the judge. We didn't see the face of the Attorney General. Other cases were being adjourned. We were waiting until all the cases were clear, giving an impression that, look, this case is what matters to the judge the most. Now, yesterday, I filed a motion for prohibition in the Supreme Court, saying that we are not comfortable that this judge will give us justice. I brought it to the attention of the judge. I also raised an issue that we should adjourn the case and abide the outcome of the application to the Supreme Court. The case is just next week in the Supreme Court. The judge is saying no, we won't grant us the adjournment, and that he is ready to continue the case. As to why the judge is in an ambulance route to continue the case and cannot wait for the Supreme Court for 1 week, the list match to be designed. And I'm caught between the rock and the hard place. How? The ambivalence that you want to disqualify a judge from hearing the case and you sitting to continue the case. I cannot answer in the Supreme Court, so I need to leave the chamber. And then, I leave him to do what he wants to do best. That's why I've left the court.
Are your clients not going to be?
Well, my client is there. I know he can't do any legal work for himself, but they should be glad that the lawyers are saying that they can't continue with the case. They could have also gone out of the court, but they are accused persons. Because they agree with me. But because they are accused persons, they can't get out of the court. That's why they are there. Because they are accused, but not that they endorse what the judge did.
If you go to the Supreme Court, we are not preempting, and the Supreme Court sends you back to the High Court, how will your approach be?
Well, let's leave it to the Supreme Court. I don't want to play clairvoyance, but I think we have a good case for the Supreme Court to consider. That's all we are doing. We don't know what the Supreme Court will do, and you don't want to play lottery with this very sensitive case.
But Counsel, regarding the decision by the judge, he cited two conflicting authorities and decisions by the Supreme Court, for which reason he used his discretion to refuse your application. How does that come to you, seeing that you chose to walk out when really he used his discretion?
What discretion is on this matter, in which there is an old authority, the Supreme Court has departed from the authority, and the Supreme Court in 2020 is asserting that when there is a pending application for prohibition, and the lawyer tells the judge looking after the affairs of the case that, look, adjourn the case and let's wait for the Supreme Court to determine the matter. And if the judge should not do that, it implies that the judge is biased. If you see the Supreme Court decision and you don't want to respect it, I can't force him to obey the Supreme Court, which is at the summit of the justice delivery system. But I think we will have a day in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And so that is Atachia, who is lawyer for the former National Signals Bureau director there. And the news is that they walked out of court today because they were asking for an adjournment, specifically because they thought that new evidence that had been tendered in was not in favor of the case that they were defending. And so when the judge declined, they decided to walk out, leaving the suspect alone before the judge. And, the suspect said that he could not defend himself. So the judge asked that he call his lawyer to come in and defend him. He says he's tried several times. He could not reach his lawyer or his legal counsel. So based on that, the judge decided to adjourn the case. So we'll definitely update you as to when the case will be recalled and see how it plays out. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. And we are going on to our final story just before sports comes in. And you would know that the issue of Galamsey never seems to go away. Clearly, the fight has been ongoing. The presidency and the other key government officials have all been sharing the strategy government intends to deploy in fighting against illegal mining. The latest in the twists and turns of this particular issue is that the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has intensified its nationwide crackdown on illegal mining, recording major successes in two coordinated missions carried out on Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2025 in the western northern Ashanti regions. In a statement released by the Secretariat, the NIMOS task force reported intercepting a group of armed illegal miners operating deep within the Tano Emia Forest Reserve in the Awin district of the western region. The special operation led to the arrest of several suspects, including a Chinese national believed to be the excavator operator for the syndicate. According to officials, the armed group had been operating secretly within the reserve, posing a serious threat to both forest conservation and national security. The operation marks a critical milestone in NIMOS's ongoing effort to dismantle armed mining groups and networks entrenched in protected areas. A spokesperson for NIMOS reaffirmed the government's commitment to eradicating illegal mining across the country. The Secretariat has since handed over the arrested suspects and seized items to the appropriate security agencies for further investigation and prosecution. On that note, we bring this part of the bulletin to a halt. We are taking a quick breather. We'll bring you sports in a jiffy. Do stay with us. This is 3FM 92.7.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596-920-833 or 0302-200-390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, the president of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt E.S. Okraku, has addressed the growing discussion surrounding players expressing interest in representing Ghana at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, following the Black Stars qualification to the global tournament, reports have surfaced suggesting that several foreign-born players of Ghanaian descent are seeking to switch allegiance to play for the national team. However, in an exclusive interview with 3 Sports, Okraku made it clear that Ghana's doors would only open to players who demonstrate genuine love, respect, and commitment to the country.
To be honest, and to start from this standpoint, I am and we are quite fair. And most often we treat issues case by case basis. And I use my son, Kurt Jr., as a case study. Kurt is born in England. He's schooling in England. Assuming he's an Abedi Pele, for example, I would not want to deprive him of the chance to play for Ghana because he was born in England. Okay. However, if Kurt Jr. wants to play for Ghana, he has to show that he loves Ghana, and he has to show that he respects Ghana, and he has to show that he's committed to Ghana. Fortunately for Kurt Jr., he visits Ghana every year, so he doesn't belong to that category. I'm using my son as a case study. I don't want mercenaries to come to Ghana. I don't want people just to jump on the ship because we've qualified for the Mondial. I want players who love Ghana, who play from their hearts with passion, and who would want to represent Ghana in all competitions. So yes, I've been very, very categorical that if you have refused us in the past, if you've not shown respect to us in the past, I will not open the door because we have qualified for the Mondial. I don't care about what the coach wants to do. He has his preference, just like any other person. But as a principled person, it is. I mean, you have to show beyond reasonable doubt that you want to play. You are committed towards the national flag. You are proud to be a Ghanaian.
That was Kurt Edwin Simeon Okraku speaking there exclusively to 3 Sports. Now to the camp of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and ahead of their game against Wydad Athletic Club of Morocco, a former Hartlepool coach Samuel Buedu has reiterated the gap difference between the Ghanaian clubs and other countries. Now, according to him, there is a vast difference that he hopes that Ghanaian teams can work to finally bridge that gap.
The difference, the African team that I played with the WAC. If you compare WAC and our teams in Ghana here, you know there's a big gap, right? There's a big gap, but we know that gradually things will change for our country.
That was Samuel Buedu speaking there. Now, before we do go, let's do some more. Ghanaian midfielder Caleb Urenchi has signed a contract extension with Danish Superliga FC side Nordsjælland, keeping him at the club until the summer of 2030. The 19-year-old has been a key player for Nordsjælland, making 29 league appearances since breaking into the first team and earning 6 international caps for Ghana. Urenchi's contract extension reflects the club's long-term commitment to nurturing his growth and ensuring stability in their midfield. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. And before we do go, we have a funeral announcement for you. Now, the chief mourners, Eku Na Nsona royal family